Hello, this is Shar from The Real Kitchen for Real People. Today I'd like to share and showcase with you an easy pie crust that was shared with me years ago from a friend. And ever since then, I've never used a frozen pie crust again. Plus, it's easy, it's tasteful, and by the time you go to the store and stand in a long line, you could be finished making your pie crust. And plus, it tastes better. It is definitely a crowd pleaser. So, I'm going to show you, first of all, the ingredients, the simple ingredients. You got 1 1/4 cup of sifted flour. Now, if you don't have a sifter, then just use 1 cup of all-purpose flour. But if you have a sifter, sift it and sift 1/4 cup. Then you want to add a dash of kosher salt. Just a dash. Okay? And then you want to add Crisco butter bars, Crisco shortening bars. But get the butter flavor. And when you get this, it comes in a long container and you halfen it for 1 pie crust. So you cut it in half and you put that, add that to your flour. Okay, so now all you do, you take a fork and you blend this up to get beady. You just mash it, and you get good at it after a while. But you just mash that all up until it gets real beady and mixed well. Can't do it with a mixer, so I'm sorry, you have to do this with a fork. Okay, some things you just can't do with a mixer. Okay, and you just crumble that up. Okay, after you mix that for about 5 minutes, you'll get the consistency like this. Okay, so now you're ready to add your ice cold water. You want to add a 1/3 cup of your ice cold water. Just 1/3 is all you need to start out with. Pour that in there. And then you just start stirring. Mixing that up real good because you're going to form a dough. Okay. Just mix it all up. Real good. See how it's forming? Okay, this is what you should have at this point. You've mixed it all together and now you have a nice soft ball of dough. Okay, which is ready to be rolled out. Okay, now we want to put a little flour on your clean surface to roll your dough in. Okay, spread that out a little bit. I always clean my counter and just use it, but if you want to, you can use a pantry sheet, pastry sheet, or whatever. But I always just use my counter. You put your dough on there and just roll it around in there in the flour. Okay. And then it'll make it a little easy to handle. If it starts being too sticky, just add just a little more flour to the top like that. Just sprinkle it on there. Kind of work it like that. Okay. Now I'm getting ready to roll it out with, I use a wooden roller pin, and I'll take the rolling pin and just put a little flour on it so it won't stick on my dough when I get to rolling it. So I'm going to roll it counterclockwise this way and all the way around. Just all roll it out all the way around. So I'll be back when I'm through rolling it. Okay, this is my dough. I've rolled it out. To you have to kind of eyeball your pie pan. So this is the pie pan here that I'm going to use. And I'm going to spray it down with a little pan. Just spraying it down a little bit. Not lightly. Okay, now this is the important part. I know this is the part that a lot of people get hung up on, is how to get this pie crust over into this pie pan without tearing it up. Now this is the secret. You simply fold the back end over to the front end. Okay, we're gonna fold this, and you have to do it with two hands. So let me fold it because I'm trying to videotape this with one hand. So let me fold it and I'll show you. Okay, I folded the crust. Okay, so what you do is pick up the crust and try to just treat it lightly, sliding it over halfway to your pie pan. Okay, you see how it's halfway in the pie pan? That's how you get it over to your pie pan without tearing it up. And now we'll just fold it back, fold it back over to the edge. Okay, now it's in your pie pan. So what I do now is, isn't it pretty? See how pretty that is? Not only pretty, it's good. So you just kind of lightly mash it down to the pan, just lightly put your fingers around like that. Okay? And then you take a fork. My grandmother always said, take a little fork, your fork that you were mixing with, and just punch holes kind of in there to make sure your crust don't pop up. It's kind of like air pockets that'll form when you're baking. So just a few little punches down into your dough. Okay. Okay. Now what we're going to do is your edges. Now this is a challenge for me because I like my edges to be pretty. So I'm still trying to make it there on getting these pretty. But the way I do it is I fold this part that's overlapped, and don't get terrified if it kind of tears up. And I just pinch it like that. And you pinch it all the way around. Bring that siding up and pinch it all the way around. Okay? All the way around. Like that. Okay, that's your pie crust. And you can just work with the sides how you want. It just, over time, you can be creative with it. Some people use a fork and mash it down. But I just pinch the sides around. And that simple. And you might have a little extra dough sometimes. And you can fill it in areas that's kind of thin. You can fill in to use that extra dough in there in case the edges is a little thin in some areas. But that's how you make that perfect pie crust, and it's just awesome in your pies. And if you want a 2 pie crust, I always just do them separate. I know you can double it and everything, but I always find that it works out better for me if I just do 2 separate pie crusts and then follow the steps, and put the one on the top. If you want the one on the top, you put your filling inside your pie, the first pie crust. Put your filling in there and then do the same thing on preparing the pie crust, and then just lay it over the top and then pinch your sides. And then you need to trim your sides over here. If you have excess dough, just pinch it off on the side like that. Just go around and pinch it off. And it's ready. So that's all it is to us. It's easy. And as you get used to it, you can do this in 5 minutes. Again, these are your ingredients that you need for your pie crust. Kosher salt, Crisco shortening bars, ice cold water, and a 1.25 cups of flour. And it will give you this beautiful pie crust. Okay, you know how to do it now. Let me know how it turns out. Thank you for tuning in to The Real Kitchen for Real People, and I hope you enjoyed this easy pie crust recipe. All right, see you next time. Love, love.